Thank you, Councilmember Fanny Gonzalez. We were the two that were tangoing on PHP to put this bill forward. I appreciate also Councilmember Friesen's leadership of the committee. He said we would have a fair, open, honest discussion of the bills, and we did. We put them forward in the democratic process, and here we are. I want to thank Ms. McCartney Green and Ms. Wellens in her absence for their work on the Home Act and on the anti-rent gouging bill. This is the definition of a compromise. We had two very different bills with different rates and different provisions. The Home Act was a 3% cap or inflation, whichever was lower. The anti-rent gouging bill was a 8% plus inflation, and we ended up in the middle. And it is the definition of a compromise. We heard testimony from some people actually who were in this room today, months ago, about how 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% increases were forcing them to make decisions to self-evict and to move. And I just want to remind people that our DHCA for years has considered a 10% increase to be constructive eviction. If you pay $2,000 a month, and good luck finding that in Montgomery County right now, 10% is $200 extra. It's a whole another mortgage payment in that year. Most Americans cannot find $300 in an emergency. 40%, nearly 40% of our county rents. That's over 400,000 of our residents. Disproportionately, Black, Latino, and immigrant. Almost 60% of Black residents rent. I was one of those kids for the first 20 some odd years of my life who had to move from substandard housing to try to find rents that allowed my mom to be able to support our family. This is not a theoretical exercise. If we want to maintain for the top 10 most diverse cities in the country, we have to protect tenants. They deserve the same stability that everyone else who has a 30-year mortgage gets, to know what their rent, what their mortgage is going to go up every year. I'm really proud of this bill. It's not perfect. I think it's absolutely true that this will not impact the market. 50 years ago, this council passed emergency rent regulation, decided to sunset the law. We passed voluntary rent guidelines. We passed 2 forms of stabilization that I authored during the pandemic. The sky did not fall. Housing is being built. This is a great place to live. It will continue to be built, regardless of the actions taken here today. The question is, will we protect our diverse community and folks who are most vulnerable? In the PHP committee yesterday, we had a very important discussion. This has been a very, not ironic, but I think appropriate last week. We had a 2-day racial equity retreat, and we talked about the policies of exclusionary zoning and intentional policy and law decisions that kept people of color and low-income people out of housing. We had a presentation yesterday about redlining here in Montgomery County and how that impacted our community. Rental practices and fees are a part of that larger story. The vast majority of landlords do the right thing. That's another reason why this will not impact the market. Over the last 10 years, the average rent increase was around 2%, well below what this bill caps at. So I just think we need to remember that today. I won't be supporting many of these amendments because I think the bill that came out was a compromise, but we'll have a robust discussion and we will make progress on behalf of our nearly 400,000 residents who need it right now. Thank you, Mr. President.